We are on. Okay, now I'll get out of here. And I may not need the earlier part, but I know people will probably protest again. Missing these I'm happy to see him. Very happy to see him.
Sam. Hi.
Good. You want me to favor? I'm going to be in and out of here.
Oh, she did.
What do you want to do for that?
You should have said yes, and then when it wasn't say it Oh, I got it.
All right, if I can have everyone's attention, please. The county was notified earlier today by the fire marshal. All right, we are only going to be able to allow, due to the capacity, 5 people standing in this room. Once again, everybody will have an opportunity to speak. All right, everybody will. But during the time of the meeting, there will only be 5 people standing in this room. All right? So either start working your way out, please, or make arrangements with someone else to switch a seat up. Thank you. Got one seat over here, or someone has it? Okay, thank you.
Nobody's there. We'll take a bunch of overslept.
Sound good? Sounds good. That's perfect. That's perfect.
You can. That's right. That was my reaction.
There's 3 staff.
Patrick. I had an actual placard
Yeah, welcome back.
It is 3:30, and I would like to call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners full board to order. And I would like to invite Pastor Cross for an invocation and ask you to stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And please remove your head.
Bow your heads with me, if you would, please. Father, we just come to you in the precious name of Jesus. Father, and I thank you for this commission. We thank you for those that serve our county and serve us. We thank you for them. We thank you for the sacrifice that they make. Father, you said in your word that in these places, in the chief concourse where business is done and where decisions are made, in the gates, in the Old Testament, the elders would come and sit in the gates and make decisions. You said there wisdom would cry out. So, Father, I pray in the name of Jesus you would give each of these commissioners the ability to recognize the wisdom of God, or that voice of wisdom that cries out, to enable them to make wise decisions concerning our county. We thank you for this county, and Father, we thank you for the people in it. And Father, I pray that there would be respect today, there would be honor, and there would be dignity given to each person here that may be speaking or sharing, that we would show respect for each of them. Because Father, you value each person. We're created in your image. And Father, we ask that you just bring your blessing to this meeting and your peace. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Cross. Commissioner Nash, would you lead us in the pledge?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Excused.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Excused.
And Commissioner Wilkins. Here. 7 present, 2 excused.
Thank you, and we do have a quorum. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda, and I would like to add a couple things to that. We have a YMCA presentation. I would like to add that under number 6A. And item number B under the chairman's report, that is a resolution, and since all of our commissioners are unable to attend the meeting here today, I want to foster an environment that allows the entire Board of Commissioners to have input, because this is a very important issue, so I'll be withdrawing that item from today's agenda. So I do need a motion to
So moved.
approve the agenda.
Support.
We have a motion and support. That will be the minutes.
Which item?
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion is carried.
10B.
Also, under approval of the minutes, I'd like to make sure that we approve the minutes of the past meeting and also the closed session minutes. So those will be included too.
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, the same. That motion carries. Next, we will move into the YMCA presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. Kristen Wade, Human Resources Director. I have here before us Sam Neto, who is the YMCA Board CBO, and he has a quick resolution to present.
I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak today. This is a resolution from the YMCA for Sheriff Michael Pullen. He's here someplace.
Sheriff Pullen, would you step in, please?
This resolution is an acknowledgement of the support Sheriff Michael Pullen has provided to the Muskegon YMCA, whereas the Muskegon Young Men's Christian Association Board of Directors formally recognizes the support of Sheriff Michael Pullen. Whereas on September 26, 2019, he publicly represented and appealed for the support of the water safety efforts of the Muskegon YMCA through their Safety Around Water program with the Muskegon area third graders. In addition, Sheriff Pullen has demonstrated support of the Sheriff's Marine Safety Unit to this cause through the display of their rescue craft at this event. Now, therefore, let it be formally noted, we, the undersigned Board of Directors of the Muskegon YMCA, consent and agree to this resolution made on October 15, 2019 at the board meeting of the Muskegon YMCA. I personally want to thank Mr. Pullen, Sheriff Pullen, for supporting the water. As someone who spends as much time on the water as I do, their presence is felt on the water and the safety results.
Thank you. Congratulations, Sheriff. Now we will move on down to public comment on an agenda item. Is there anyone wishing to make a comment on an agenda item?
I would like to. Might take me a minute to get there, though. Somebody else can go first. They can get there.
Sheriff, no, Sheriff, go right ahead. You go right ahead. We're just going to line them up behind you.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to, it's been pulled from the agenda, but I'd like to comment on 2 items that were listed on today's agenda. The first item is the proposed 2% raises for the elected officials that's coming up. I don't know if you recall last year, the same motion came before the commission, and I was here. I had asked that I not be given the raise. that that money goes towards my training budget to help my staff. I do not want to speak out against the other elected officials. Obviously, everybody could use a little extra money, but I'm again asking if that motion could go through, that it's amended, that I am removed from it, and if that money could be added to my training budget to help my staff. That is just a request on one of the items. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
The second thing I would like to comment on are the recent resolutions that have been received by the commission. At the start of my term as sheriff, I stood in this very room and I took my oath of office. I did this with my family present, as I felt it was important for my children to hear the words that I said. In that oath, I swore that I would support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and that I would faithfully discharge the duties of the office of sheriff. As sheriff, I do not have the luxury of deciding on what laws I will enforce and those that I won't. I stand here today bound to enforce our state laws as well as support the Constitution. When I started my campaign, I worked to develop a phrase, an ethos, if you will, identifying those characteristics of what our community would know to expect from me. My campaign promised character, honesty, and integrity. It promised community, not politics. Over the past few months, my office has been pulled in by members of this commission's lack of respect for one another, which has created a distrust and divide in our community, and we deserve better than that. When an elected official needs to create a false narrative of both inaccurate information and lies in order to move an agenda forward and openly deny future support for public safety, we all lose. The negative impact this has on a community and the efforts of the men and women serving are not only diminished, but the trust in those representing them are lost. Recently, I have met or been requested to meet with different community groups as well as individual members of both sides of the aisle, as well as a representative from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. These meetings have been cordial, positive, with an absolute respectful tone. At each of these meetings, it was made clear that I will continue to communicate with each of our federal partners. I will continue to enforce state law and ensure that the constitutional rights are not infringed upon. In a recent FBI report on violent crime, it was reported that Michigan has seen a decrease in those instances. Though this is positive news for our state, it's not something we can necessarily celebrate. Just last year, our community experienced 754 violent crimes. That's more than 2 a day. That's 494 assaults, 154 rapes, 92 robberies, and 14 homicides. There are a total of 571 law enforcement agencies in Michigan. Of that number, 137 of them serve a population of 10,000 or more. The 2018 Violent Crimes Report identified 3 communities within our county that make up the top 50% of that list, with one of them being identified as the most violent community per capita in the state of Michigan. Since January of this year, the City of Muskegon has instituted a program called WHIP, Weapons High Intensity Patrols. To date, this proactive enforcement program has been responsible for removing 114 illegal handguns from the streets of our community. This past week, a single member from the Sheriff's Office made contact with 2 young men from the City of Muskegon on a traffic stop for speeding at 1:40 in the morning in Holton Township. During that stop, 2 loaded handguns, a pair of latex gloves, and a ski mask and a bandana were recovered. One can only imagine what their plans were for that evening. The Sheriff's Office alone has seen an increase by 6% of calls of service over the past 2 years. Our jail takes in over 8,000 arrests annually, all while addressing healthcare issues, mental illness, and an opioid epidemic, and how we are to address those addictions while the person's in jail. Since July of this year, our jail has been under a regulated jail population management plan. Pursuant to the Michigan Jail Overcrowding Emergency Powers Act, signed by me, the Circuit Court Chief Judge, the District Court Chief Judge, and our prosecutor. Per statute, we are currently under a 4-year plan as a result of capacity. Due to recent actions at the state level, My budget alone has been affected more than any other Muskegon County government operation. Earlier this month, I was here and I gave a brief presentation covering just a few of the many positive things the Sheriff's Department has been doing in our community in the last few years. I am proud of the work that is being conducted by my staff, as well as the 10 other law enforcement agencies working in Muskegon County. There is no other law enforcement entity or law enforcement position that is more trusted, more embedded, that has built a relationship with the community than the office of sheriff. I have served in this community for over 32 years, and I plan to continue a service of community, not politics. At no time will any decision I make put this community or the men and women of public safety at risk. We have many moving parts to law enforcement, and we are constantly being re-educated and trained. This requirement is mandatory, so we may provide the most professional service possible. A service that needs to remain focused on realistic, data-driven issues that require our utmost attention. Thank you.
Now we'll move on. Would you state your name and your address and keep your comments to 2 minutes, please?
Yes, Tammy Barnhart, I'm a Muskegon County resident. I appreciate that the sheriff said he didn't want the 2% raise that you all are considering for him, the county clerk, the drain commissioner, and who was the other one? I forget.
Register of Deeds.
Register of Deeds, thank you. Yeah, I think that is completely ridiculous. Our county cannot afford that. How could you even consider giving a raise to these people, especially the drain commissioner? Drain commissioner has drained our county for one thing. But then again, you are considering giving a 2% raise. That's even higher than the cost of living raise for people on Social Security. That is ridiculous. Our county cannot afford that. Now is not the time to do that. I understand last year y'all voted yourselves a raise. Well, not y'all, there was a few that didn't vote for that, but most of you, it passed, y'all gave yourselves a raise. And we're in the same debt that we were then. That's ridiculous. I'm really ashamed of that. And I really hope that you do not give those folks a raise. The sheriff says he declined. I don't see anybody else stepping up saying they do, but we can't afford it. That's the first thing. The other thing would be the sanctuary city. You took that off. I'll address that afterwards. The other thing would be have another closed meeting. Another closed meeting. You're doing too many things behind closed doors. We are all here because we want to know what's going on. And for you to hide behind closed doors or to make deals before you even come here and discuss things in front of us is shameful. How dare you do that? We want to know what's going on. And you must do things in front of us and discuss things in front of us and let us know what's going on. We have the right to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought you took 10B off. Okay.
We took 2 of them off.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear the one on sanctuaries. I'm sorry to hear that. And Derwin, 1391 West Laketon Avenue. I'll go on with my other comment. I am also concerned about the 2% salary increase for those listed. I appreciate what the sheriff just said, but I don't see how you can, in good conscience, approve any raise, not just for these people. And I don't want to section them out, but for any, considering the debt of our county. It's fiscally irresponsible. And I would hope none of you, nor any of those that are in line to get a raise, would run your homes or your business in such a manner. Surely you understand the dire straits our county is in. I'm just asking you to be fiscally responsible. Also, Commissioners, you've got an awesome responsibility, and I'm understanding that more and more the more meetings we attend. But wouldn't you just like to get back to work and do what you're supposed to be doing instead of these things that are coming up with ulterior motives? The community depends on you, but we won't stand idly by and watch Muskegon become a county of lawlessness and irresponsibility, fiscal irresponsibility. We are a land of laws, and it's time we all act like it. I'm asking each one of you to get back to your responsibility of dealing with the business of this county, and I thank you for doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Dykstra, 16201 Harbor Point Drive. I'm very sorry you took off the sanctuary city issue. You know that's very close to our hearts. You know it's why we're here. And you know, as the sheriff just indicated, that we're not going to support a sanctuary city and lawlessness. We honor the Constitution.
Please be quiet, there's someone speaking.
Thank you. So I'm sorry you took that off. The other thing that I think is on the agenda, and maybe I missed it in terms of the order, is the issue of the Healthcare West. Is that still on the agenda?
I don't believe that. It was never on the agenda.
Was not on the agenda. Okay, I would encourage you to put that issue on the agenda, because as I understand, they owe you a great deal of money, and as we're talking about finances, that might be helpful to help the budget here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? I do have two people in the hallway. Ann already spoke. And Jim Riley, you're on my list.
Here we go.
And here you are. Go right ahead.
My name is Jim Riley. I live in Norton Shores. As you all know, our county's financial health has been recently ranked by the liberal Bridge magazine as 78th out of 78. Retirement plans are not funded. The bond debt you've got is well over, because the combination of the bond debt and the retirement plans is well over $250 million as we speak. And now you want to give a 2% raise to some of the highest paid people in this building. Now, 2% typically doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you do the math with tie-ins, this little gift balloons to a total of nearly $200,000 over 10 years. Let's read from the county's most recent annual financial report. The consultant's forecast revealed that the outlook for Muskegon County's general fund for the next 5 years is unsustainable. The consistent disparity between revenues and expenditures would result in the depletion of the general fund's reserves within the next 5 years if no action is taken. Now I ask, is this the time? Is today the day that we should take $200,000 and give it out as a gift, as if it were in a candy jar at a party? I think not. I would hope that most people would think, under the current circumstances, I mean, you do pay money for consultants to tell you the fiscal condition that you're in. But I've got some ideas. I came here with some answers to help you out. First off, one thing that you might do is you can table this motion, the 2% motion, and have a public meeting to discuss Dave Ramsey's financial beans and rice diet. Great idea for anyone. Really, really good for you folks at a public meeting to discuss that. I think it'd be very helpful for all of you. That's item one. Number two.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Your time is up.
Oh, I had two more fabulous ideas. $200,000.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Kip Smith. I live over on MacArthur, 3130 MacArthur. Two items on your agenda: the Silverside Submarine Museum lecture and Turkey Trail Run. Thank you for supporting those. Those are beautiful things. Before I talk to them about them, though, Commissioner Loing, Public Act 269/2015 prohibits you from displaying campaign materials like your Trump 2020 hat. Could you please remove that?
You said Mr. Commissioner Mahoney.
No, Lauren.
I know you don't.
Yeah, that's what 269, Public Act 269/2015. I would like to ask you to remove that.
Follow the rules.
Okay.
I put it on your head. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been asked, it's been refused. I can proceed. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for supporting the turkey run and the submarine thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Before we move on.
I've got a comment.
Just a moment, please. Before we move on, the U.S. Code Title IV asks that you please remove your hats while a flag is in view. So please remove your hands from the audience. Thank you.
Ben Evans, 3171 Lakeshore Drive. I'm pretty good with words, but I don't have the words to express just how disappointing the behavior of this commission is. The fact that you would consider passing a resolution to expressly ban immigrants from Muskegon County, that's petty. That need not be done.
Please, let's hold the...
No human being is illegal. No human being is illegal.
This isn't on the agenda.
Well, you know what is on the agenda is me addressing the cancer that you are in this county. Please remind yourself that you are in the city of Muskegon. You are spreading like a cancer. You are a fascist. You are a fascist. Would you like to debate me and speak reason?
Could I please have somebody remove this man?
Okay, how many of you have college degrees? I think 3.
Yep.
3 out. 3. You are very disappointing. More than me. I just want to let you know. You're a fascist. The pendulum swings back.
Thank you,
I apologize for that. Is there anyone else who would like to, ma'am, please state your name and address and constitute.
My name is Laurel Gravelin. The address is 9575 Blue Lake Road. I don't know, you might not want me to speak because I don't live there. I own land there and my son lives there. Okay, yeah, I'm very involved with my township, or my county. You might have heard of them, Macomb. They have fallen through. They were so far under, the state was ready to take them over. So I'm just asking that you all be very careful what you spend your money on. And things do add up. And I know it's a hard job being a commissioner, but really, giving money, and I'm especially thinking about, you know, like the police said they didn't care to have any more money. Well, I got to tell you, that money, I think if we end up with more people in in the county here, there's going to be less for the police to do because they're not going to be able to, they're going to have their hands tied. And I just hate to have the hands tied. And as far as the money for the other people go, I got to tell you, I've dealt a lot with our drain commissioner, and drain commissioners can get away with anything they want. There is no one above a drain commissioner. Anything they want to do, they can do. And they don't need any more money.
Thank you very much. This is public comment on an agenda item. I'd just like to remind everybody of that.
My name is Mary Greavy, and I live at 2593 Crozier Avenue. And Madam Chair, you can stop me when you feel the need to. This morning there was a Senate hearing of impact on sanctuary cities.
Yeah, I will have to stop because that has been removed from the agenda. You're welcome to speak under public comment at the end of the meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody that has a comment on an agenda item? Seeing none, we will move on to communications. You will see Bay County resolution, and Lapeer County has given us a copy of the resolutions that they have passed, and for our information, they will be placed on file. Is there anyone that has any comments or concerns of those being placed on file? Seeing none, we will move on to committee and board reports. Community Development and Strategic Planning, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Community Development and Strategic Planning Committee met on October 15th, and there were no action items present on that agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. We will move on to the Transportation Committee. Commissioner Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Transportation Committee met on October 15, 2019. It was recommended, and I move TR 1910-26 through TR 1910-27.
We have a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns on these motions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring.
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, and that motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkins. Ways and Means Committee, Commissioner Skolnick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question for you, or maybe our attorney. Item number 131, can we separate out the officers?
Yes, you could. I believe you can.
Why don't you get the approval of 130, 32, 33, 34, 35, and go back.
All right. The Ways and Means Committee met on October 15, 2019. It was recommended, and I move WM 19/10-130, 132, 133, 134, and 135.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call?
Commissioner Laring.
So I don't have 135 on my, or actually I went from the Ways and Means agenda. It's the, okay. Yeah, I remember that one. Why wasn't that on the Ways and Means Committee meeting? Did that get added?
It is on page 7.
No, I'm on the committee meeting notes, and it's not on the committee meeting notes. Did that come up?
Yeah, it came up, yeah, it was added at the meeting, yes.
No on 130, yes on the rest.
Thank you. Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
No on 130, yes on the rest.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes on all.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
So the vote is 2 no on 131 and 7 yes.
No.
I'm sorry. 2 no on 131. The 2 no's were there.
No, on 130.
130.
On 130.
Yes, 131.
131 was on the increase for,
Right, and we held that separately.
so you're holding that
Yes,
separately?
we're going to hold that separately.
Oh, so you're going to vote that separately?
Yes. So it was
then
130.
it's 2 no on 130 and 5 yes and 7 yes on the 132, 133, 134, and 135.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and that motion carries.
Okay, Madam Chair, on agenda item 131, in the matter of salary increases of 2% for the senior elected officials, I'd like to break those out and vote on those separately.
All right.
Don't you need a motion for that?
Yeah, I think we should have a motion for that, correct? Madam Clerk? Yes, we should.
So I'll make the motion that we would
Second.
approve the salary increase of 2%, and I'll vote each one separately.
Each one separately, okay? And we have a second on that motion. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? That motion is carried. You want opposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That motion carries.
So the first item, I don't know, should I bring, the sheriff has already declined, so.
But he asked that his...
Madam Chair, I'd like to address that to the corporate council. The law says that when raises are given, especially to elected officials, that they're not allowed to deny them and ask that something else be passed on, because the state always wants to make sure that they're going to get their taxes out of what that raise is going to be. So I think there needs to be a ruling on whether or not an elected official can refuse to accept the raise and tell the board where it should be spent.
Can I make a comment on
The sheriff can take the raise and pass it on for that purpose. But,
Commissioner Nash?
I was going to address the same thing because even though the sheriff, I like what you did and I appreciate what you did, but I also realize that this is an elected position and it doesn't mean the sheriff is always going to be the elected sheriff. So we're not passing our money to him per se, but we're passing it on to the elected official who holds that position. And if we look at around the state, some of our elected officials per capita are paid much lower than others in the state. So just by what he said today, he's doing an excellent job, and I think he deserves a raise for all that he does. But again, it's to the elected official and not per se to the individual. So I just think that removing that would not be just as elected officials for all these different positions. So I just think they all need to stay together, and we keep the raise as it is.
Is there any other comments?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
He just put a different spin on it. So if we deny a raise for someone, then that, whoever the next elected official is, will start at a lower level.
I'll be more than happy to talk about my wage if you'd like to right now.
No, Sheriff.
But what all the elected officials could do, and the sheriff could do also, even though he gets the raise, he could donate it back to whatever he wants to donate it back to.
Certainly, if you would like to. I think we owe the sheriff the opportunity to speak to this.
Mike Walker, Cleveland County Sheriff. I'm absolutely not trying to be difficult on this issue. I just want you to understand I'm trying to do what's best for my staff. The idea that when I am elected out of office that the next sheriff is going to start at that pay is kind of absurd. It's not going to happen. I did not start at the exit of the last sheriff. I guess I started at a lower pay. So it really doesn't have any kind of benefit. I mean, it doesn't deter anything from the next person coming into office. As far as the donation of money, I'm not going to say it's something I pride myself on or I talk about. I've done this. The undersheriff and I have both foregone money that for our uniform allowances to ensure that another staff member was able to get a raise, so we didn't have to argue about budget issues. These are things that we do. I do not have a problem doing this, but it's kind of a pain. All right. I would just as soon see that our training budget, the line items placed in there, and we receive that money. Thank you.
I'd like I hate to say this is the clerk, correct?
That when a motion is made by this body, that they have to accept it, they can't reject it, they can return it back or their donation back.
Well, the board has the right to determine whether the raise is given. So the board could ultimately decide, and I agree, the compensation belongs to the office, not the individual, typically. So two things. One is obviously the sheriff could accept it and donate back. That's certainly lawful. Second, the board could deny it, and the board could then further amend the budget to include a certain amount in the budget. There's no prohibition against that I'm aware of.
Well, there's no prohibition, but I think that for the future, then the board should let it be known to others, because all of us are in the same situation, you know, where we could all donate ours back, and I wouldn't want to put the board on the spot of even having a motion. I don't know how it got on the agenda in that, but I'm just saying that I'm sure it's the same situation that several of us would find ourselves in.
All right, so I'm confused.
Okay, right now we have a motion on the floor that was seconded. That is, Madam Clerk, could you read the motion back? I'm sorry.
The motion was to break apart and take the 2% raise for the individual officers.
Okay. I guess I can make a recommendation, correct?
Yeah, it's time to discuss.
Okay, we're discussing. Okay, I would recommend that you withdraw that motion and we table this till our next meeting. And that way, we will give the same opportunity to each different elected official to make their own decision, whether they take the 2%, whether they put it in a plan for their employees, however they want to. I'm just about to hear from the finance director.
Just a comment. My understanding is that this action to give an increase has to occur before November 1st of every calendar year. So if you were to table this, there is no other meetings between now and November 1st.
And the reason why the law requires that action to be taken is because next year, all of these people will be up for reelection, and anyone filing to run for that office should be entitled to know what their salary is going to be.
Commissioner Nash.
And I guess that's why I'm making that point, is that we're actually giving a raise to the office.
Yes.
And it's not to a particular individual, because those names could change next year. And so if we don't give it to one, then whoever gets that office next year will have that lower pay anyway, because that's the rate that's set. So I just assume if we're going to do it, we do it for all. If not, we don't do it at all.
Madam Chair, I did not realize this was going to be a discussion. I will withdraw the motion. Or we can table it.
We can't table it. We can't table it because it's got to be done before now. Let me ask our finance director one other question. If we were to go ahead and hypothetically give everybody the 2% raise, could they come to you and say, I would like my 2% put into a fund for X employee uniforms or whatever? Could they do that?
I believe they would have to donate it back, as the county clerk mentioned. I mean,
could it be donated to a specific area in their budget? I think maybe that motion.
Okay, so I withdraw my motion back to the 131, and I would like, and maybe that, just for everybody's information, this 2% raise, if I have my information correct, was promised to all the employees in exchange for, they took a fairly substantial cut in their ultimate pensions. And that was to help, I know that some of you don't think we're watching things, but we are. That was to help with the long-term pension, the amount of money we had to put away. So they took approximately a little less than a 10% cut in their actual pension benefits in exchange for 2% raises for 3 years. So this isn't like we're just giving them free money. The county, okay, shake your head. The county came out ahead on this.
Yes, they did.
And they were generous to do this, and it really helped us. And it was like every employee voted on it. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just, the motion will be as stated.
Are there any?
I have one more comment. So when you ran for office, did you know what the salary was?
Mr. Laring, I'm tired of hearing you say that, because you take a job, you know what the salary is, I'm making $100 a week. I don't expect to make $100 a week in 20 years. So you get a raise. I mean, I don't know what you're making. That's like foolish.
Well, except you and I both ran for this office. We knew what the salary was. We knew what the term was. I don't think you entered into your position looking for a raise or a 2% raise. I know I didn't.
Please be quiet.
Don't take your raise.
Any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call roll call, please? And this is a vote for the 2%.
So the motion is to...
The original.
Back to the original motion. Commissioner Laring.
No.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
No.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
6. 5 yes and 2 no.
Motion carries.
That completes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. Now we will move on to the Chairman's report. I have a vacancy on the Building Authority. I have a citizen's appointment of Andrew Vaughn, and I would like a recommendation or a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, we're revoking that. He's no longer
revoking that, right? So
it says appointment revocation, yes. I'm revoking that. And I need a second?
Support.
Oh, Philistine supported, thank you, okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? That motion is carried. Number C, appraisal fair at the Muskegon Museum of Art. Professional appraisers will be there from October 14th from 10 a.m. in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you've got an antique that you would like to have appraised, it's $15. You bring your antique in and they will give you an idea what it's worth. The USS Silversides Museum Marine Museum Lecture and Film Series starts Monday, November 4th at 6 p.m. and they are fabulous events. I attend a lot of those and they really give you some good information. A lot of the people were actually there or family members were there. The Turkey Trail Run 5K at Gillette Nature Center is going to be Saturday, November 9th at 9 a.m. Beth, do you have a report as the assistant administrator?
Just
Oh, I'm
I'd
sorry.
like to mention something on ATAC. I attended the meeting this morning. We're on track to collect the same or better than we did last year in accommodations taxes. Looking forward to another dock because we will need one on 3rd Street for the additional cruise traffic.
Wonderful news.
So things are going well, and the visitor's guide is being readied as we speak.
Great.
And it will be distributed throughout the Midwest, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, and even Pennsylvania.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other liaisons have a report from their committees?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just maybe I serve on, I'm vice chair of the Muskegon Area District Library Board, and yesterday we had our board meeting and voted to move ahead with the purchase of a new bookmobile.
Oh, wonderful.
Good.
And it's about a 10-month lead time to get one of those things, but there are lots of areas in this county that just aren't served. There's no library that's close by, and this is a very nice bookmobile. It'll have computer access and pretty much all the amenities you expect in the library.
Great.
And also, the final thing is that we are moving ahead for anyone who lives in Muskegon Township. There will be a new library in kind of a unique spot. We're planning on installing a library in the strip mall that houses Mr. B. And it should be much better than the current facility.
Great.
That's it.
A lot of parking, easy access, and be easy to see, so great, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Commissioner
thank
Lehman?
you. Yes, the Fair Board had voted last Tuesday evening to adopt a new committee. The committee will be formed from the MSU Extension, the Health Department, and so we'll have our first committee meeting on October the 29th. That committee is going to be addressing education and entrepreneurial opportunities out at the fairgrounds. So MSU Extension and the Health Department will be participating in that.
That's great, that's a really good combination, I'm glad to see that happen. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we will move on to the Assistant Administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First item under my report is a reminder that our next meeting after today is not until November 5th, so there is no meetings next week.
Election day. Make
Election
sure everybody
day.
votes before or during that day.
And then I do have one item for your consideration, approval of the second one-year renewal option for the Memorandum of Understanding with the State of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the processing of County Child Care Fund foster care payments.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any questions on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Larry.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you very much, that motion carries.
And that completes my report.
Thank you very much. Is there any old business to come before this committee today?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion that the County of Muskegon shall not become a sanctuary county and the residents of Muskegon County shall be our primary concern.
Second.
It's all business, thank you.
It's old business. That was pulled from the agenda.
And don't we have rules against bringing last minute motions?
Not until the board rules committee meets and agrees to it.
Thank
No,
you.
that was voted on.
But it has not passed board rules. As a member of board rules.
No, that was voted on. We didn't have to pass board rules.
Voted to
It was
take
voted
it.
on and that motion was passed.
See corporate counsel.
So the rule was 2 commissioners. I've heard 2 commissioners support this motion already.
The rule you're talking about was no full motion supported by 2 commissioners. That rule was voted on and passed by this board. So it is a rule that is in effect.
But we had 2 supports.
We can't hear.
Commissioner Larry.
That was for new business, this is old business.
We have a motion with support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Does that motion differ from the one that was in the agenda?
It is a different wording, but it is not exactly the same as the agenda.
Would you read it? Would you read that again, please?
That the
And-
county-
And the clerk is going to need a copy of that.
That the county of Muskegon shall not become a sanctuary county.
Also, you can use the word.
I guess I would have a question. It's not a sanctuary county now.
Shall not.
Thank you.
Was the key.
Is there any other questions? Commissioner Mahoney?
I'm sad that we're dealing with this issue. It's a divisive issue in the county. It's a divisive issue nationally. And the national division has come to our community. And it divides citizens one against another. And I don't think it's something we need to deal with. The second thing that, it presents neighbor against neighbor over an issue that we have no control over. It's a federal immigration issue, not a county issue. The federal government controls immigration in the country. Right now, you have an administration that's very much against immigration. Next time or another time down the road, all of these
Illegal
rules
immigration.
we have may change. So I don't think we need to deal with this. It's not an issue we need to deal with. There are many other things we need to deal with. The unity in this community that will help us. But division, we don't need. Thank you.
Well, I want to co-sign what Commissioner Mahoney is saying. I think if people really paid attention to what the sheriff was saying, there is not a possibility of this community becoming a sanctuary city. He has laws that he has to follow, and he is working with ICE. So we don't need to tell him what to do. Matter of fact, we can't tell him what to do. It's his job to do it, and his job to follow the law. So all these are really just political motions, and it's ridiculous, and it's dividing our community, and it needs to stop. This is ridiculous. We're grown people. I'm glad there's no children here, because I would be embarrassed to bring my kid in here.
That's right.
And it's the top floor that's leading this charge, and that's what's the shame and appalling. And we need to stop.
I wanted to correct the problem because we're not a sanctuary city, and this is all a bunch of garbage. People make more out of it than what it is, and we don't need it, and that's what we're trying to do, is correct the problem. And I don't know how to correct the problem. If somebody else knows how to go about getting this out of the way, then tell us.
I guess I will have to say, my concern is that this is an extremely important thing before the county commissioners. We have 2 commissioners that are not here. That's why I removed it from the agenda in the first place. I think it's something that all of us should have the opportunity to discuss. So I am against bringing this back up again, but it's already been brought back up. So I have no choice but to let the vote ride. So, Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call on it? Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stoll.
I thought the issue, I didn't know it was going to be pulled until just now, or earlier, just before the meeting, and now it's back again. So I've thought about this a lot, and I'd like to this will just take a few minutes. I'm very concerned because of the amount of time and effort that is being spent on non-issues such as this one that is diverting our attention away from important county issues. I am supporting the motion today, but I'd like to explain my thoughts on this non-issue. This resolution is based on false information because there never was any intent by anyone to make Muskegon a sanctuary county.
Right.
There has never been a push to make Muskegon a sanctuary county, and Sheriff Pullman complies with all ICE regulations and communicates with ICE regarding every detainee that they hold, not once, but 3 times per inmate, and I got that from him. That said, the sheriff has said that those ICE detainees only make up 0.0025 out of 100, a quarter of 1% per 100 inmates that are admitted to the county jail. As an elected official, I've always tried to be respectful to my fellow commissioners, even when it sometimes has been pretty difficult. I've been a public servant for years, and I've never seen the level of fear and hatred in politics in Muskegon County that I've seen since one of my fellow commissioners has promoted right-wing conspiracies and hate groups. His Facebook posts. I don't want to see them.
No, we don't.
But numerous people have sent me screenshots of his insulting comments regarding me and his post promoting conspiracy theories, anti-gay rhetoric, and numerous other divisive and hateful groups. At the last board meeting, we had a legal immigrant who called me after the meeting and expressed her fear of being in this courthouse due to the hateful comments that were directed at her while she was standing out in the lobby. This division and spreading of fear and hatred is not in line with our county government's mission statement, which states that we have an appreciation of the community's rich diversity. I welcome all legal immigrants and hope we can now move on to more important work.
That's right.
That's why you need to know. There's a motion. Yes. Are there any other comments, Ken?
That's all right. Okay, Susie. I just think this is a resolution in search of a problem that doesn't exist. So it simply is not germane to what we need to be dealing with in the county. It's not an issue, as Commissioner Skolnick has so eloquently said. Why? Would be my question. Why are we doing a resolution for a problem that doesn't exist?
And I would just like to say before we move on, I think this is in direct result of a resolution that was brought forth by Commissioner Harvey Wright. And she brought that forth out of goodwill and good faith, and it kind of blossomed into something that she never intended it to. And it was never intended to be a sanctuary city. Muskegon County never wanted to be a sanctuary city, and right now we are not one. I have a hard time understanding why we would want a resolution that says we don't want to be one when we're not one.
That's right.
The motion was not for a resolution.
But can we need to fix it. We need to fix it now. How do we?
By sign the resolution.
It is to start the healing. We need to get past all
the problem.
Can we repeat the wording, because I never heard resolution.
I'd like to hear the resolution again, please.
Do not make Muskegon County a sanctuary county.
That was not a resolution motion,
That was the resolution.
but that wasn't what the motion said.
Because it's under old business.
Madam Clerk?
Otherwise, we're bringing up the same thing that we just said was off the agenda.
It is, and that is,
Can we pull this back and then take no action and just?
Yes.
Oh,
How
about vote it down? Are you sure?
The chair has the right tone.
Madam Chair. So if the board is tired of dealing with this old business, let's get through it, get it behind us, let's vote on it. I want to call a motion to call the vote.
just 1 minute there, one of the seconds has just removed her second. So we're listing just pulled her second back, so.
Can I go? I want to have a comment.
Shh, wait, there is no comment from the audience right now. There is no this is the board is working right now.
If there is no second, I cannot move forward.
That's correct.
I seconded the motion. The rule, let's go through the rule with corporate counsel.
I just did.
Okay, read the rule, because I'm very familiar with it. It says two commissioners, Commissioner Foster and myself, make up the two commissioners.
He can't support his own motion. He made the motion, you supported it, you need another support.
I would like corporate counsel's interpretation of that poorly drafted motion.
Old business.
Madam Chair, can I say something? Because I think we're really misinterpreting this whole thing. Because I was under the understanding that we were not supposed to bring any last-minute motions without prior agreement from another commissioner, not a motion and a second.
That's what.
Okay, corporate counsel, can you interpret that rule that was passed a couple weeks ago that Commissioner Nash keeps bringing up?
Well, I would have to agree with Commissioner Nash because I spoke with several members of the board who had made the motion at the time.
What does the motion say?
Let me finish.
Jesus.
About what was intended by the rule. And what was intended by the rule was prior to making the motion, there were to be two people who were in support of it, two other commissioners. That's what I was told. That's what was adopted by this board.
Well,
Backdoor deals.
so what was actually, can you read the motion?
I don't have any.
Move on.
No.
We're not moving on. So I took a picture.
Excuse me, yes, we are moving on.
The rule states,
No, Commissioner, there is not enough seconds for this to move on.
there is a second.
We're moving
Any
on.
motion coming to the floor will require the support of two commissioners prior to presenting. The two commissioners have already agreed to this.
It says required to.
Prior
He doesn't have.
That's right, it was done. The two commissioners have already supported this. Commissioner Foster and myself support this motion.
That was not the determination of our corporate counsel.
That's what's written out, and if I understand it correctly, the way it's...
Don't understand it correctly. We have.
Understand it, I've got it in writing.
Commissioner Laring, we have asked our corporate counsel. He has given us a determination. We are moving on. Is there any new business before this committee? Seeing none, is there any public comment on anything?
Oh, yeah. I thought you wanted to put it behind you, but you could have voted and put it behind you.
Sir, we are still in a board meeting.
Yeah, well, not really.
Well, you're not helping your cause, but.
If this is Larry Park, Ravenna Township,
I appreciate
I will continue wearing my hat because it's part of my political statement. No disrespect, no disrespect intended. If this is not such a big deal,
Madam Chair,
why are you making it such a big deal
hats in this
to simply
Could I remove your hat out of respect for the flag?
That's an Admiralty flag in the first place. It's not an American flag. But anyway, for your information, these forms are typeset, ready to print. If you would like to have a sanctuary county, which you don't seem to be able to deny,
I'd like that flag, that sign removed if it has my name on it.
And the board ruled
It
to
has-
have signs in
There
in the
is
board
one
too.
with every...
I want that removed.
There's one with every commissioner's name on it. And if you support anything toward a sanctuary city, these will appear in your neighborhood and in other neighborhoods where we may have illegals, inviting them to come to your neighborhood and make your neighborhood the test site for this social experiment. You want to vote on allowing illegals into our county?
Don't get to threaten to tell the commissioners you're done.
You want them to live among us, but you don't want them to live
Undersheriff,
among
could I please have this man removed?
You have 30 seconds left.
I'll leave these here. There's one with each of your names on it, ready to print.
So if you
You
disagree,
shouldn't
you
pick
just
a
have them
fight
removed?
with somebody who buys ink by the barrel.
Why is he removed?
Because he's threatening people.
He's threatening board members.